Hello everyone, my name is Anuj Prasad and I am from Desmania Design. And today for DESIBLE, we have Mr. Sivakumar, who's the head of design at Royal Enfield Design Studio in Chennai. He's our guest today. And actually Shiva doesn't need too much of an introduction because everyone knows him. Royal Enfield is one of the best brands, and the design that has gone into it has the passion, the energy of Shiva. For last 18 years he has been working with them. He is an alumni of IIT Delhi. He is an industrial designer and a very passionate and philosophical designer. I would like to welcome Shiva. Thank you for coming to Desmania for this DESIBLE program.
My pleasure.
Very, very happy to have you over. And this talk is to understand his thought process, his philosophy about design, which has really proven as a very, very big success in the Indian design scenario. So Shiva, I would like to know as to how has been your experience with design in the last 18-20 years that you have dealt with it?
First of all, thanks Anuj for this opportunity. I'm very happy to be a part of DESIBLE this edition. So thanks a lot. It's a good question. So in 18 years and before my current organization, 5 years, so almost 23 years in this field. Yes, if I look back, there's a lot of evolution happened in self. I am pretty sure in the field of design also it happened. That evolution is what the biggest gift I believe I got. So a lot of goods and bads, and at certain stages, a lot of interesting realization happened inside me with respect to what is design, what it's all about, why it have to be important for a socio-economic causes, and how exactly this art is impacting the design, how exactly the technologies are supporting or overpowering the design. So all these things, it's a combined learning. So and fortunately I had really worked with some great minds in the field of design, modeling, business, brand, and all other things. So truly a gifted experience, I should say. Definitely we'll talk in detail.
Absolutely. So I think one very important thing which we as designers realize after so many years of practice is the fulfillment in design.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that many careers are there, but I think design is one of the few careers because it is creative in nature. So I think it gives you a lot of feeling of fulfillment,
Right.
and that fulfillment I think comes from the self-discovery, which you talked about. You know, self-discovery is actually a very important part of design maturity as we go forward. And also I think that as we mature as designers, there's certain things which we discover, and one of them to me I feel is purity in design, which means how pure can you make a design, which means fundamentally it is so beautiful that you're unable to find glitches in that, and yet it is not complex at all, you know.
Okay.
And which is what we see in your creations a lot. So can you throw some light on it,
Yes.
please?
So of course, that's a very interesting question. All my hands-on experience goes in certain field of two-wheeler design or a motorcycle design, but I'm pretty sure this can be applicable and seen in other areas also. So with that understanding, you told a very nice point, like purity in design, and how to really see that or put that in a realistic way. First of all, I believe definitely the since I told the brand, so the brand philosophy is also guiding
Right.
certain things. It's not only about one individual's thought process. In the current activities, whatever I'm connected, so definitely simplicity is one biggest strength. So I definitely want to make use of it. So when we think about or talk about simplicity in design, so definitely it's not the simplest thing to do in design. Making a simple design is, it's just we need to, maybe as you told, we need to be so pure in thinking itself.
Yeah.
So we no need to make it, we should not make it more complicated.
Yeah.
More frills, small whistles and all. I generally have certain basic philosophies or ideologies about design. Something like, for me, design is all about unique composition of emotional and rational values.
Yeah.
So our emotional and rational quotient in any activities what we are doing, whether it might be a product, service, industrial design, product, whatever it is. So if these are the two important parameters, what we are trying to do through design is creating values or adding values to that. So how to do or how to create a value in a design perspective. So generally I have certain inspirations I have from earlier days onwards, thanks to my family background of being temple architects. So I belong to a family of South Indian temple architects. So I am fortunate enough to go through certain contents and ideologies, what people follow and all. One of the key thing is called as sthapathya yoga. So it's of course nothing related to yoga, so per se. It is about a sthapathi who is an establisher. So so how he or how that person have to really think, or how the creation have to happen.
Yeah.
So interestingly, I want to pull a couple of Indian analogies here. In my observation, there is a interesting point about Indianness in design or Indianness in creativity. Always, if you refer all the traditional stuffs, it does add or create a unique value. So in that creation, and mostly that will be in majorly in 5 typical areas. Either it will be philosophical, psychological, metaphysical, mathematical,
Wow.
or aesthetical.
Fantastic.
So in these areas, if it's creating an impact, it is somehow seen as more or have a value of more Indianness. So that's why, though there is not one culture called India, it's a multicultural thing, but this is common to all these connected cultures. So this one thing is there. So is to think, so how the value is being created? What makes people, irrespective of a different language, religion, how they are really getting into it? The Sthapathya Yoga actually came into the part, and it's a philosophy in Indian traditional architecture and Indian traditional sculpture systems. So it's something like the creator creates his or her creation inside the mind.
Wow.
So that's very pure. That manifestation is happening in a we call that a Paramanu stage. It's a subatomic level thinking process. When a time and effort been put on it, it becomes a real establishment. So this is the basic approach. So you have all the thinking or the creations in mind in a purest form.
Awesome.
So just put effort and time, the output will be still in the purest form. So copying the external thing is not the real manifestation.
Awesome, absolutely brilliant, Shiva. I think what you have said is so much true, and that is what can actually create the depth in design, and which can happen in a very big way in India, because we have such a long heritage.
Right.
Things which you have talked about, like Sthapathya Yoga or sthapna. Sthapna means the foundation. When you start something, how do you think? How do you visualize something? And if I just extrapolate this a little, I think the most important part of any design is to put soul in design.
Right. Right.
Which means in Hindi, if you can call it as Atma, or soul in something which is not alive. And can you put that? How can you transfer that soul? And you actually narrated this whole thing of putting soul in design, which makes it lively, number one. And second thing which you talked about, which is also very interesting, is value. So largely designers and the business people say that we need to have value addition, whereas I personally say it should be values which are added, the value system.
Values, yes.
We have a value system, and you actually gave all these names like honesty, what you thought about metaphysical things, something to do with your own mind and heart combined. Now the value system is more important to design than value. So which means, can a product be honest? Honesty is a value which is inculcated in us from our childhood,
Right.
Being compassionate is a value which is there. Can your design be compassionate? The West talks about empathy there,
Yep.
So I think it's a value system. If you are able to put the value system in design, you will see something which will have, life in it. And life is what we want, something which interacts and talks to
Right.
you. So I think you said such brilliant things. Thank you so much for these lovely, words which you have used.
Thank you. And definitely, picking from your statement, there is one more thing I believe we need to be very much focused.
Yeah.
Might be because of the type of evolution in terms of need, or the way we need to way the products or the designs reaching the people.
Yeah.
We follow certain process and all other things.
Yeah.
So I think if you want to really go back to the value creation or value addition or values in the creation,
Yeah.
I think we need to not only believe or too much focused on process part. I believe process will give you certain level of output, but the true purest things will come from the practice part.
Absolutely.
So process will take you till the boundary.
Yeah.
If you want to go beyond the boundary, it is the practice.
Totally.
So I think that's what our traditional ancestors are very good, it seems, in certain areas.
Absolutely.
So I think that's definitely a thing for us to also learn and try to apply that in the modern design.
So another word which you use, which I often talk about to the students and everyone, is the practice. And practice. And we have so much of literature which talks about, how do you learn things? By rote, by practice. You keep doing it again and again and again. And when you keep repeating it, you keep learning with it. Very big thing. So lawyers have practice, doctors have practice, and so does, it happened with many professionals like designers. And our practice is actually an extension of the practice which has already happened in the past in a country like India. So we are actually extending that practice and the learning which has already happened, and so we can actually take it to a completely new level through a relay. And relay is like passing your knowledge to another revolution, and you can actually reach the sublime levels. So I think these words are very important in the profession of design. And to me, I feel that many people are scared of AI, coming in, but the words and the terms and the philosophy which you have talked about can make everybody feel that AI is not the end. This is what means to the human being, the civilization, the life on this planet. So what is your take on AI and design and future?
Brilliant question, and it's a question I come across often in, especially when I go and talk in institutes. So I personally see AI as a boom. It's my personal take. The reason is most of the laborious part in the creative activities. Creative activity, it's not only thinking. To make it realize, there are a lot of laborious activities are there. So, for example, even if I have some idea, if I want to really communicate and convince the, say, the client, the management, or any individual per se. So what I'm generally doing these days, so I'm making some concept sketches and all other things. Now you tell, hey, I want something like this, a shot with that person sitting that in this, in a big room doing that. It's creating. So, no, like it is helping us to overcome our shortfalls, to communicate our ideas. Like this in any area, in design, every area it is there. So, still even for AI, something have to be given as an input.
Yeah.
So that's where the control is there with people.
Yeah.
So if it means what? So say some 70-80% of time I'm going to save. I can be more efficient.
Yeah.
So once I used to do clay models on with my own hand full.
Yeah.
Now I'm taking support from 5-axis brilliant clay milling machines, which is 7 times it's faster. And I'm becoming, I'm seeing that I'm becoming more efficient rather than the machine is taking out my job.
Yeah.
So this is how we need to look at it. So we have more time, more thinking, more output, more contribution human can make.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good thing, especially in a creative field.
So I think what you said is absolutely true.
And my point is, all designers, any creative person should make use of AI also to improve their contribution with the individual or as a team. So we should not shy away. It's a good innovation.
So like the evolution has happened of any technology over so many centuries, it has been evolving. My take is that every technology actually gives you a chance to free your qualitative mind and discover new faculties in your mind, which means you will get more time to discover the power of your mind at completely different levels.
Right.
So AI is going to actually help in a very big way. It will give us a leap to get into the intricacies of mind which we have not discovered until now.
Right.
So it's actually not a threat, but it's actually a boon for the mankind, which most of the people may not agree, but I personally feel that we will be actually getting into the new faculties and new tiers of the brain, and we're discovering the power and the potential of brain in a completely different light.
Absolutely, yes.
So thank you so much, Shiva. I think this session was absolutely awesome, to have you over, be in Desmania studio, which we have been wanting to do for very long. And I think your words were absolutely Amrit for us. And I hope all the young designers understand what Shiva meant by all the terminologies which he used, like purity, sthapna yoga, sthapat yoga, and metaphysics, and things which are given to us, which are extremely important, and that is the real value which the human beings have. So thank you so much for being here, coming here, and wishing you all the best to create some real masterpieces, not only in the area of two-wheelers, but many more things.
My pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
It's my pleasure really visiting.
Thank you.